let's talk about what's going on with the Freedom Convoy in Canada, which is going viral. It's being talked about everywhere except for mainstream media. I don't know if you've been following this story or not. Let's kind of go through a couple things that's going on there, folks. Hundreds of truckers block Ottawa in Freedom Convoy to protest vaccine mandates. It's a France 24 story. Hundreds of truckers have blocked the streets of central Ottawa on Saturday as part of the self-titled Freedom Convoy to protest vaccine mandates required to cross the U.S. border, flying the Canadian flag, waving banners, demanding freedom, and chanting slogans against Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. The truckers were joined by thousands of other protesters, angered not only by the COVID-19 restrictions, but by broader discontent with the government. An enormous clamor rang out of hundreds of big trucks, their engines rumbling, sound at their horns. Anyways, I'm going to tell you this other story from Al Jazeera. Why are anti-vaccine Canadian truckers converging in Ottawa? I like that title right there, anti-vaccine Canadian truckers. So a convoy of anti-vaccine Canadian truckers and their supporters making its way to the country's capital, Ottawa. Starting on January 15, Canada has required essential service providers previously exempt from vaccination requirements, including truck drivers, to be fully vaccinated across the land brought from the U.S. Unvaccinated Canadian truck drivers entering Canada will need to meet requirements for pre-entry arrival and day 8 testing, as well as quarantine requirement. Now, keep in mind, 90% of these truckers are vaccinated. 77% of the country is vaccinated. And this Freedom Convoy GoFundMe, if you can go to it, as of last night, it was at 8.8 million. If you just type in Freedom Convoy GoFundMe, they may be over $9 million. James, I'm assuming you're following the story. What are your thoughts on what's going on right now with these truckers? 9.2 million.
9.2 million people?
$9.2 million dollars raised.
They haven't taken it down yet? Have they taken it down?
No, they haven't. 113,000 donors.
My first surprise is that GoFundMe has not taken this down. But I guess that it goes to show you the difference between how the media portrays things and how things actually are, because so many of these people in Canada believe in this, and it's self-evident in the pictures you're seeing. Like I said, pictures, evidence. You can see the trucks. You can see so they say it's fringe, but that's a characterization that doesn't seem accurate. That doesn't seem based upon reality. It does not seem fringe. It seems mainstream. It seems that there's a substantial minority, if not majority, of people that agree with these people. So what I draw from this, this sort of the Orwell 2 + 2 = 4 quote, is that how things are portrayed by the Canadian leadership and the media are not as they actually are in terms of the grassroots support for this.
Adam, do you have thoughts on this?
Well, what's the ultimate story here? They're protesting mandates.
They're protesting mandates.
That's what it comes down to.
Some people that are protesting against the mandates are fully vaccinated and took the boosters. And they're out there saying, I'm fully vaccinated. I just don't want mandates.
Okay, so walk me through that mindset. They're basically saying, look, I did it. I support it. I mean, Dr. Robert Malone, who you interviewed, is vaccinated.
Yeah,
he basically said, I almost got crushed by COVID.
Yeah, if you can show that video, David, if you can pull up that video so people can see what's going on out there.
However, I don't believe in the mandate. Ultimately, isn't that
what is this picture of here?
This is Ottawa, Canada.
Those are the truckers.
Is that currently?
Yeah, so this is a video of, this is about a day ago. Ottawa.
Are they wearing masks? I don't mean as a judgmental question. Are they wearing masks, or are they willing to violate the city protocol?
I don't know if masks are a mandate.
So guys, the border is 5,500 miles long. Canada and U.S. border. It's 5,500 miles long, okay? You got these truck drivers, which the strangest thing is, if anybody, their job is to quarantine, it's truck drivers. They're by themselves driving. Like it's not like they're around anybody else. They're driving.
Unless there's two people
99% of the time, unless if you got another person with you. But you're driving by yourself, maybe with another person to do your job. Generally, it's by yourself. And they're saying if you don't do this by the 15th, to cross the border so this is not just the Canada thing.
Exactly,
it's
that's crossing the border. So that's
US
another question.
To Canada, Canada to US.
You're crossing the international borders.
Just to make a populist comment too, something my friend Laura Logan always says to me, which I think is very poignant, and this is a visualization of this. Is really amazing visuals we're looking here, Instagram videos, is that they have tremendous power and we're nothing. That's the comment I see people say, we're nothing, we're insignificant, we're nothing. But Lara says to me, we're not alone. She says, we're not alone. And we, the people, it's a cliche, it's a tale as old as time, but we are so insignificant compared to the powers that be that have the power of coercion and the power of the legislatures. But this is a very amazing moment, that we the people, and even Canadians, we the people.
By the way, go to Elon Musk's tweet, because Elon Musk tweeted about the truckers and what he said
Canadian
about
truckers rule.
Yeah, Canadian truckers rule is what he said. Yeah, something like that. So think about it this way. Who would have thought Kyrie Irving, okay, truck drivers in Canada, you got Elon Musk, you got Joe Rogan, you got the strangest camps that are sitting there saying, dude, can we just not be forced to do what you're telling us to do? I'll take the vaccine. I just don't want to be forced. So I had a couple people over at the house for the birthday party. And, some of the guys from the community, very successful business people, and the conversation about vaccine came up from them. And I said, did you hear about Tom Brady? What Tom Brady? I'm like, did you hear about truckers? What truckers? I'm like, you're not following the story? No, I'm not following. I read New York Times and Wall Street Journal every day, and I've seen nothing about truck drivers. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Zero. So they're in front of me kind of going through it. These are two professionals. Both of them are C-suite executives running their companies, living in beautiful property. Legit people. They know nothing about what's going on. And so tell me about, what are your thoughts on vaccinations? What are your thoughts on this? I said, listen, I think to each his own. I think it's something that probably helps minimize for certain people. My dad had COVID and he had pneumonia simultaneously, and he had the COVID shot, and he was able to go through it at the age of 79. And he just took the booster, and he's glad to have it, right? And then he says, how about yourself? How about your employees? How about this? What percentage of home office is vaccinated? They're in the health industry. I have to get everybody vaccinated. One of my friends got all their doctors and nurses in LA to get them vaccinated. 20 of their employees and doctors just resigned. They said, you can't force us to do this. So there is a community out there, and they're finding each other. And they're sitting there saying, look, man, I just want you to leave me alone. Don't bother me. Let me do this. By the way, in Canada, things are so strange in Canada because one of the reporters, I don't know if you saw that, James, he said, look, if we have to choose between keeping you alive and feeding you, we're going to lean towards keeping you alive. I'm like, what did he just say? You know what he just said? If we have to choose between us not letting these truck drivers do their job, so food is not being delivered to you. These are 15,000 truck drivers. So food doesn't come and you don't have enough food for a week or 2 or 3 weeks. For us, it's more important to keep you alive from COVID than feed you. And we have to kind of go through that. And Quebec is saying they're going to start opening up movie theaters with one rule. You can't sell popcorn because they don't want you to go in without a mask on, because they want nobody eating popcorn in movie theaters. Yeah. So it's a very strange dynamic.
Well, this is what we talked about last time. This is more than just a health problem. There's an economic problem. There's a societal problem. You're staying at home. There's a depression problem. How many people are not getting out of the house, being able to exercise? The quote, I mean, James has been busting out quotes all day. I don't know who said this, but he said, war is too important to be left to just the generals. Just like a pandemic is too important to be left to just the scientists. There's a lot of business people. There's a lot of just regular people who have a voice and have a say. And it's not just one size fits all type cure to this. And look what's happening in Canada. They're not going to fit up with this.
Quote, CB radios, or those are the radios they use for the trucks, are free from censorship.
Can you control zoom in so the audience can see what he's saying? David, go to the tweet. CB radios are free.
The reply, Elon Musk there, CB radios, the truck radios are free from media control. Those are the old radios we grew up in as kids, even it's a very amazing moment. For me, this is all about, I go back to the power of the image. I'm going to speak from a journalistic perspective on this matter, not as a public policy health issue. It's the idea that those are profoundly moving images of a convoy of trucks and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people there, tens of thousands of people. And then the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, you wouldn't even know about it if you lived in Manhattan. That's wild.
That's strange.
If you only read the New York Times, you would not see it. That's actually a really amazing observation there. You wouldn't even know about it if you only read certain publications, and that's not right. They don't want you to see. Why don't they want you to see the images? It's because they want a specialized class of men, as Edward Bernays said, and Dean Lippman said, we need to interpret the data. We don't want you to have the images because you might draw wrong conclusions from the images that you see. Well, that's not right. That's
James,
not right.
Other than Project Veritas, obviously, what news sources do you trust?
Any source that I can see the evidence myself. If it's
Would you name names?
No, because it's like because a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone can do this. New York Times can and has done good journalism, but you got to be able to see it, like we're doing right now. Like we're looking at the images, assuming those images are not doctored.
So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.